people of the world, welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. Today I want to talk to you guys some more about therapy because I post a lot about it, I talk a lot about it, and I talk about it like it's the greatest thing ever. And I think it's important that I let you guys know that it has not always been this good and this easy regarding therapy. Not saying that right now it's easy, but it hasn't always felt this comfortable and safe with a therapist. I went through a phase where I was certain that I was never ever going to go back to therapy. I was really done with it because I had a really negative experience with a therapist that I thought I knew and trusted really, really well. The first time I ever went to therapy, I was actually 19. I was encouraged to go by my boss / emotional and, sexual abuser? It sounds weird to call him that, but that's really what he was. I was encouraged to go to by him to talk about a sexual assault from when I was 17 that I never really got to talk about. I had never been to therapy before. I always kind of grew up with the impression that therapy was for people who were weak. Some messed up mindsets there. But I went and I was really terrified to go. Partially because I had this deeply internalized fear that what happened in the assault was my fault. And also partially because I didn't know how to talk about hard stuff yet. I had no idea how to be in touch with my emotions. I didn't know what the word vulnerability even meant. That was not my thing. This first experience, I remember sitting in there and she pulled out her pad of paper and I was sitting on the couch staring at her really nervously and uncomfortably. And I was telling her about the assault and she wanted to know if I wanted to do this thing called EMDR. And I had never heard of that, but she tells me that it's something that's supposed to mock REM sleep patterns and it's supposed to help get the trauma out of you. Which was also interesting because I had never even really heard the word trauma. That wasn't part of my vocabulary. I didn't call the assault that. But I wanted to be better, so I agreed to it. And literally the next session, we started doing EMDR. She handed me these two gray pieces that vibrated back and forth, and I closed my eyes and she asked me to picture the worst scene of the assault, and I did, and it was really vivid and really horrible, and all we did was talk about that, and I left feeling like I just got hit by a bus, and I never went back. That was my first experience. What I learned now from my current therapist about EMDR is that there is a whole entire process that's supposed to happen before you actually take out the equipment and start doing it. It's a trust building process. First there's like history taking. There's like this whole step-by-step thing. Like my therapist now, when I told her about that, she was shocked. She was like, the second session? That's not okay. You have to first ease into getting to know your client because odds are your client's been through trauma. You have to get to know their window of tolerance. You have to get to know what is okay and what's pushing too far and know their triggers and know what they look like when they're reliving, because when you go back into reliving mode, it's actually getting worse. You could be re-traumatizing yourself. You have to take history and get to know and build this trusting relationship that could take years. It's an investment. So by jumping right into EMDR in the second session, I didn't know any better because I was 19. I had never been to therapy before. That was not okay. That was damaging to my mental health, to my life. So I didn't end up really going back to therapy until I left Boston. This was about 2 years ago when I decided I needed to go consistently again because my mental health needed saving. I was told that the next steps that I took regarding my mental health were like a life or death situation, and that scared the hell out of me, understandably so. People kept telling me to do the work, and I kept asking, well, what does that mean? What is the work? And people just kept saying, therapy. Therapy is the work. So I went to this therapist that I trusted and knew from a very close person in my life who also was going to that therapist. You see, I was telling her that I was really afraid that I had made it up in my head, or that it was my fault, or that I did something wrong, or all this stuff, which I'm learning now is very, very common for victims of sexual assault to feel. It's extremely common for us to think that it's our fault, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but that's not what I'm going into in this video. But for this session, this lady, she had me close my eyes. There was no EMDR thing. She just had me close my eyes and walk her through a step-by-step, like play-by-play of what happened during my assault. Tell her exactly what happened, exactly what I felt, all these things like back to back to back. My heart was racing, my palms were sweating, my chest was tight, my stomach hurt, all these reactions my body was having without me knowing at the time, but I was way going back into reliving. Like, of course I am. And so I opened my eyes and I'm just like, I can't talk really. I'm like in another time zone. It felt like. She looks at me like she's kind of shocked in a way, and she says that she can tell that it was assault based on how my body was reacting. And then my time was up, so I left. That was horrible. From what I've learned about trauma and from what I've learned about my current therapist, is that's called exposure therapy. And a lot of therapists really like that, and I don't know if you have an experience with that or not, but from my understanding, exposure therapy is really dangerous for people who've been through trauma. Intentionally putting this person back into their trauma, into their fear, into reliving whatever bad happened in the past without doing any grounding exercises when they're leaving. You just send them out and now they're spiraling. All that's doing is putting them back in it, digging those grooves in your brain deeper, telling you that, like, this said this about you. That was bad. A therapist's job, like with my therapist now, when we do EMDR, we process her stuff, she tells me that her responsibility is to watch what I do, watch my eyes, watch my breathing, watch my, like, reactions. And she knows me well enough now to know that she knows my triggers. She knows when I am going back and reliving, and that's when it's her role to stop me and to get me out of it. That's when we start doing grounding exercises, like petting the horses or scooping horse poop, or talking about random things, or walking around, or smelling essential oils, like stuff that helps me know that I am here and safe and present, that is not currently happening anymore. I am not living in the scene of my assault. I am here now. I'm telling something that happened to me. I'm not reliving what happened to me. Like, that's how you recover from trauma. That's how you grow, heal. And before you know it, your window of tolerance just starts to grow bigger and bigger, and you're able to talk about this stuff longer and more intensely without going into the reliving. Because going into the reliving is what you want to avoid. But this therapist I had just didn't know that or something. It makes me really mad because it's not that hard to understand. Anyway, after that session, we had another session where I was telling her about another assault that I had experienced. One that happened not too long after the first one. In this session, I am told by my therapist, the same one, that physiologically, when a guy drinks, sometimes they just want to try it on. That is a literal quote from what she said. Sometimes they just want to try it on physiologically when they drink. When she said that to me, that's basically saying it's just science, it's just what happens. Like, they can't help it, really. It's just physiological. It's biology, it's whatever. Like, that wasn't assault. Like, you should know better than to be around a guy when he's drinking. Okay, so when she tells me this, I lose all words. I am sitting there, I felt like the room was spinning. That triggered so much in me. So much in me. And I left that session and I wanted to drive my car off the highway. I was not okay, even a little bit. And after that session, I decided I was done with therapy forever. I was done. I was over it, and I did not ever want to go back. It just added more traumas for me to work through. And so, all that to be said, it took a lot for me to want to go back to therapy this year. I was really close to not going, but something in me was just like, I want to get better. Something in me wanted to trust this person. And she has been the most patient, kind, understanding person. And I think that a big part of my healing this year has been that safe space. But it really can't start until there's a trusting relationship, until she knows me. And I know her and I trust her. And sometimes that can take years, and that is okay. It takes a lot of unlearning. I guess I wanted to make this video to let you guys know that, like, yes, I'm a big proponent of therapy, but not all therapy and not all therapists are incredible. So I want to encourage everyone, if you feel the need to go to therapy, but do your research, ask them questions. If you feel off with a therapist, or if they make you feel unsafe in any way, it is okay to not come back, because know that there's better out there. I'm waiting right now on a list that she's going to send me of questions that you should ask your therapist before starting, because I told her I wanted to make this video, and so she's going to send me this list, and when that happens, I will be putting them in the description box below. Just wanted to share this video to let you know that it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies and hanging out with my favorite horse, Petra, but there is hope, and I'm really excited and proud of myself for going back and for trusting, because it's hard to trust, but a lot of the times I get scared that when I don't trust, it's a trauma response. But when I do trust, it feels different, it feels safe, and that's how I feel right now. So thank you for watching this video. I'm putting links to books in the description box below as well that talk about trauma, because I think we should all do better at being trauma informed for ourselves and also for other people, to know what is okay and what is not okay, and how to tell when our body is trying to tell us something, because our bodies are much smarter than we realize a lot of the time. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next week.